In this video, I'm going to be explaining the Phillips curve. Simply. Here we have what we call a Phillips curve, and this shows the potential trade-off between inflation, here, and unemployment, here. As you can see, when there is high unemployment, there'll be low inflation, and when there's low unemployment, there'll be high inflation. Let's see how the Phillips curve changes as economic conditions change. Here we have our Phillips curve to the left and our AD and SRAS diagram to the right. Say, for instance, aggregate demand was to increase from 81 to 82. This increases real GDP from YP to Y1, and unemployment decreases from U1 to U2. As a result, the inflation increases on the short-run Phillips curve from P1 to P2. Moving on to the inward shift of the aggregate demand. As aggregate demand falls from 81 to 82, unemployment increases from U1 to U2, and according to the short-run Phillips curve, prices or inflation decrease from P1 to P2. And now we look at the inward shift of the aggregate supply curve. The short-run aggregate supply will fall due to sudden cost of production from SRAS1 to SRAS2. And these resource costs include wages and material costs. And because of these costs, there'll be a falling GDP and firms will cut back in production. And the result is the high costs and low output would lead to stagflation. And due to these higher costs of P2 and higher levels of unemployment, U2, there'll be a shift of the short-run Phillips curve from SRPC to SRPC1, as this represents a new and less favorable trade-off between the two. And now moving on to the long-run Phillips curve. In the case for automatically adjusting to full employment in an inflationary gap, AD1 shifts to AD2. Unemployment decreases and inflation increases. At this level, due to the higher prices, firms will reduce their output, which will result in a shift of the short-run aggregate supply curve from SRAS1 to SRAS2. And the real GDP returns to its potential output from Y1 to YP. And at the same time, the short-run Phillips curve shifts from SRPC to SRPC1. And the reason for this is that both unemployment and inflation have increased, but in the long run, the economy will go back to YP, which is the natural rate of unemployment, but with a higher inflation of P3, which is where our long-run Phillips curve will sit. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.